What's up everybody, it's Brian from thetechera.com, and in this video I'll be showing you sort of the first look at Windows 8. You probably have already seen videos regarding Windows 8, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you my take on it and give you my opinions. So I'm going to go ahead and push the power button on the front of my desktop. Now the specs for the computer are down below in the description, but basically I'm using a Core i7-2600K CPU at 4.5 GHz overclocked. A GTX 560 slightly overclocked. It's the MSI Twin Frozer 2 edition. It's not the Ti, and I'm also using an OCZ Vertex 2 SSD, which runs at about 3 gigabit per second, and I usually get about 225 read and write speeds, which is pretty good. So you can see how quickly it booted up, less than maybe about 12 seconds once it got to the boot screen. Here we are at the lock screen. So Windows 8 is primarily focused on touch, but you are free to use your mouse and keyboard. Everything should work perfectly as well when using your mouse and keyboard. So here is the lock screen. It's very similar to, lots of thunder outside, but it is very similar to Windows Phone 7, so we can just slide up on the screen, and here we are at the lock screen. I haven't set up an avatar yet, but I'm going to go ahead and enter in my password. And we are already at my start screen. So here's the new Metro interface for the Windows 8 start screen. Everything looks very clean and easy to use. Now to bring up your start menu when using your mouse and keyboard, you just have to go down to the bottom left corner of your screen and then it will pop up. So we have Settings, Devices, Share, Search, and Start. We're already at the start menu, so clicking that button again will just make it go away. Going over to Settings, it just brings up this panel which allows us to go to the Preferences. Not too much to show here just yet. Then we have some other options at the bottom right, which is for internet connectivity. I haven't installed any of the drivers for my Ethernet adapter or my Wi-Fi card, so I have no access to the network here. Here we have a little volume slider so we could adjust the volume of your speakers. This right here is for brightness, but I can't really control that using a desktop, so that's why this is grayed out. Here we have a little button that can turn notifications on or off. Here we have a little power button which allows you to sleep, shut down, or restart your computer. And here we have a little language selection button. Doesn't seem to do anything when I click on it. Now let's go ahead and see what the Devices button does. Nothing just yet. We could go over to Project, whatever that's about. We could share some stuff. There's nothing to share just yet. And here we are at the search interface. So if I go back to the start menu, and if I just start typing on my keyboard, so I'll just type in CMD for the command prompt, it immediately takes you to the search page and it brings up your results in this area over here. And I do apologize if it's hard to read some of this stuff. You just have to watch this full screen in 720p to see the words on the screen. So I just clicked on the result that showed up, and it took us to Windows 8's desktop interface. So one of the best features about Windows 8 is the fact that you're able to use the touch interface as well as the usual desktop that we're all used to love. You know, Windows 7, other operating systems, Mac OS 10, what have you. So it's nice to have the best of both worlds in one operating system. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. Now, we're already used to the desktop interface with Windows, so I'm not going to show you too much of this stuff over here, but everything seems to be integrated with touch very well. So if I go down to the bottom left, it brings up the start menu that we saw before. If I click or if I push the Windows key button on my keyboard, it'll go back to the start screen here. Then clicking on the desktop tile will take us back to the desktop, so that's pretty cool. So again, being able to have desktop access like this allows us to use our usual applications like iTunes, Microsoft Word, games like Call of Duty or Battlefield Bad Company 2. All of those applications will run in Windows 8. So like the person said in the build keynote from today, anything that can run in Windows 7 will be able to run in Windows 8. So here we have some desktop gadgets. I never really use those, so I can't comment on them that much. Now the transition from bringing in your windows and closing them seems slightly different than in Windows 7. It seems more fluid, so that's pretty cool. Now here we are at the personalization page. Now Windows Extended, this is an arrow theme, and it allows you to use a super wide image so that you could use as your desktop wallpaper. So if you're using multiple desktops, multiple monitors, it will stretch the wallpaper across all of them instead of just repeating the same wallpaper on all of your monitors. I don't have dual displays set up on this computer just yet, so I can't really show you that, but I will once I install Windows 8 onto my laptop, which is the MSI GT680. So here we are at my computer. Now you can see that we have the new bar at the top. This is pretty much universal across all Finder windows. Wow, did I just say Finder? I barely use Mac OS X and I just said Finder. I meant to say Explorer windows. Might get a lot of hate for that one, but oh well. Now there's also a Windows Explorer tile right here on your lock screen, so typing on that will take us back to Windows Explorer. Now I'm going to zoom into the window a little bit so I can show you a little bit more. Now let me go to a regular folder, such as my Downloads folder. Let's just go to my C drive instead. Now, really quick, I'm just going to say that I installed Windows 8 onto a 20 gigabyte partition on my SSD, and it used about 18.3 gigs of that. So there's about 1.65 gigs of space left. So like the installer said, it recommends that you install this onto a 25 gigabyte partition. So Windows 8, in terms of disk space, it needs a lot, but oh well, it's not really all that matters. Most people have large drives these days anyway. So we have a new bar at the top, so we have quick access to various options such as creating a new folder. Just one click on the toolbar and you have a new folder. You could delete folders like this. It doesn't even ask you if you want to move it to your recycle bin, it just does it automatically. Here it is. Let's go ahead and empty that. We could go ahead and view the properties of a folder. Just pretty much everything you can do through the edit menu, the tools menu, right clicking or keyboard shortcuts, you can now do from your toolbar up here. You could also share files with other people on your network. You could email it to people. You could automatically zip the folder or file up. You can burn it to a disk, print it, fax it, whatever you'd like to do. Everything is up here in your bar. And you know, this is cool, but to me I just rely mostly on keyboard shortcuts. So instead of clicking on a folder to make, or instead of clicking on this button here to make a new folder, I could just quickly right click in the folder, push W, F, and it would make a new folder. So if I wanted to do that quickly, let's say I'm in performance, or let's say I'm in my users folder, I could just do that, and I already have a new folder without having to move up to click another button. But you know, if you don't like to rely on shortcuts like that, it's nice to have all of those actions available to you on the bar at the top. So let me go ahead and zoom out again so you can see the entire desktop. So that's pretty much everything I'm going to show you in the desktop area. Let me see if there's... Thunder's getting worse. Let me see if there's something I could show you over here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and open up a game. So let's quickly try Flatout 2. I have this installed onto my hard drive in the same computer. You can see that it's loading the drivers from Microsoft instead of the ones directly from NVIDIA because I don't even have those installed. So let's bring up the settings a little bit, see how these default drivers perform, and let's try it out. Turning the volume down. So it opened the game up just fine. So like I said earlier, anything that runs on Windows 7 will run on Windows 8. So that's very good of Microsoft on thinking about everybody, not just the tablet users, but also for general people who would still like to access their desktop files and all of those sorts of things. Let's go ahead and open up Internet Explorer really quickly. Here it is. I completely forgot that I'm not connected to the internet, so this is pretty pointless. This is the Internet Explorer 10 developer preview. Now they demoed something at the build conference that allows you to go to a page from the desktop version of Internet Explorer and switch it over to the touch version of Internet Explorer. Not too sure where that is. But anyway, let's go back to the start screen. I could just do that by pushing the Windows key on my keyboard. And here we are again. You can see that Flatout 2, the game I just run, is now over here on the right side, so that's interesting. We could go ahead and click and hold on it, and we can move it around, place it wherever we'd like. right clicking on it will allow us to get rid of it from our start screen here. There's also an advanced button which will bring up the run dialog box, which allows us to open the application, and we could open the location that it's currently stored in, so we'll go up and open it in Windows Explorer, or the Games Explorer, excuse me. Windows automatically knew that it was an actual game. And we could go ahead and pin it to the taskbar back at my desktop right here. So everything is nicely integrated between your touch interface and your desktop interface. Once again, good thing for Microsoft for doing that. Now let's go ahead and open up one of these stock applications really quick. So we'll just go to this one real quick to see what it's like. I have no idea when the power is going to go out, but seems like we can't move this, even if we're clicking on the ball itself. Okay, so I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard to move this around. So I imagine that using the accelerometer in a tablet, you'll actually be able to move this around by rotating your device instead of using the mouse and keyboard, because that makes this game way easier than actually tilting a device up and down. So if I right click on my mouse, it will bring up this menu at the bottom, which allows you to restart the game, go to the level selection screen. But I'm just going to push the Windows key button to go back to the start screen. And here we have the build thing for the conference that they're having in Anaheim right now. So that's pretty much it. A lot of these need internet access, which I just don't have right now, so I'll go ahead and install the wireless drivers for my Wi-Fi card and go ahead and check some of this stuff out. But Windows 8, so far it seems like a great operating system. It takes the best stuff from Windows 7 and combines it with a nice looking touch interface for those who want to use tablets, or if they just want to quickly access some of their things in a beautiful looking interface like this. I'm going to open one more thing, which is the touch version of Internet Explorer. Not too much to see here, but going to the address bar at the bottom just disappeared and I have no idea how to bring it back up. Okay, so right clicking on my keyboard or mouse brought this thing back up. So it gives us a little fave icon for the site we're going to. We can reload it, pin it to our start section, okay, this allows us to switch over to the desktop version of Internet Explorer. So Alt-tabbing allows us to switch between everything. So here's that game we loaded earlier. Here is the build application that we loaded earlier. Here is our usual desktop. And here is Internet Explorer, the touch version that we just opened. So like I said earlier, everything sort of flows seamlessly between your desktop version and your touch version. So at the top we have our tab interface, so we could just open up a new tab from the top if we like. Can't figure out how to access that, so okay, there it is again. So tapping on the X will close it out just like that. And once I get internet access, I will be using all of this stuff a lot more. That was just my 15-minute video showing you some of the little things in Windows 8 from my little bit of using it. I will be doing a couple more videos regarding Windows 8 in the future, so subscribe if you already haven't. So if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions about this or anything else, feel free to leave them down below in the comments area. It's nice that they kept the bubble screensaver here. I wonder if screensavers work for the touch interface as well. That would be pretty nifty if it did. So there we go. Now before I go, I'm just going to go ahead and log off and shut it all down. So thanks a lot for watching this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them down below in the comments area. My desktop just turned off, so Windows 8 shuts down very quickly. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you all very soon.